Welcome! In this series of short videos, we will look at topics common to both the PowerBasic console and Windows compilers, and many other basic dialects. Today, we will look at for next loops. I've set up a small common library to allow us to display information on the screen from a program regardless of whether you're using the Windows or the console compiler. When looking at a series of data records, a for next loop is a very useful mechanism by which you can actually access the data. So first we'll dimension a small numeric array to hold some data. Now we're calling our array a long data. You don't need to put these prefixes in, but it's very useful for documentation purposes, and especially when you come back to code you've written some time ago, to know that what you're actually looking at is an array. It is an array of long values, and in our brackets we're marking the array as being between elements 1 and 6. We're declaring this array to contain long values. Now to put information into this array, we'll use the array assign command. This simple one line of code will assign the value 10 to the first element of the array, 12 to the next, 15 to the next, all the way to the last element, which will be 300. Now we've got some data set up in the system, we'll want to look at each of the records in this array one by one. So I'm going to set up a long record variable to be used as the pointer to our array element. And if we want to step through each of the records in this, this is where we will use our for next loop. This is telling the application we're going to be looking at the records between record number 1 and record number 6. And we're telling it everything between the for and the next lines are going to be executed one at a time, looking at this value. Now you don't actually need to put the long record beside the next at the end, but again, for documentation purposes, I find it really useful. If there are many lines of code between the for and the next, it may be confusing. So always having the variable you're nexting beside the next command is really useful. So we will create a variable to hold the data we're going to be looking at. And inside our for next loop, we will pick up the value that we want to put into this variable from the array. And the element we're going to be looking at is long record. So what this line of code is going to be doing, long data is going to be equal to the element in the array that's pointed to by long record. So the first time around this loop, long record will equal 1. The second time the loop, it will be number 2, all the way to number 6. By the time we get to number 6, it will then drop out of this loop into the next line of code. So just to see what's actually appearing inside that variable, we can put that out to our log. Now all we're doing here is we're taking the numeric value that's stored within the long record, we're reformatting it to a string, and we're adding it onto this piece of text at the beginning here to throw it out to the log. And we will want to put in perhaps an equal sign, and then we'll put in the actual data. This should put out to our screen the word record, the number of the record, and the value contained within the record. So if we try running that now, we will see there are 6 records, and they were the values of each of the elements of the array that we were asking for. Well, that seems quite straightforward. One thing that the program has actually assumed is that we're using this command. We're using step 1. We're stepping through the records one element at a time. Now, you can, if you wish, step through every alternate record. If we ran that now, we would see it would only print out records 1, 3, 5. The other ones would not be handled at all, because you're stepping through the array at a step of 2. If we increase this to 3, we would get only records 1 and records 4. But if you don't put the step command in, it assumes you're doing step 1. Now perhaps we might want to add up these values as we go along. So let's create another variable. This will be another long variable, and we're going to use this to add up the value that's in each of the elements as we progress through. As we start the program, long total will have 0 in it. The first time round it will pick up 0 plus the value in data, and then the second time round this will get incrementally bigger for each value that's in the data. And after we've finished our loop, we'll want to print out the total. Now if we run that now, it will throw all 6 records on the screen and the total of the values within each element of that array. Now there are other things you can actually do with the for next loop. Obviously, a for next loop will look through each record in the array you've actually asked it to. If, for example, you wished, having got the value in an element, to test that value and do something. What you can do is you can test a value in it, and if the value is greater than 20, then you can completely exit the for next loop. So as we see, 67 is greater than 20, so we should never actually see anything come out on screen for record number 4. So if we run that now, we'll see it gets as far as record number 3, and it has added the first 3 up, but it has not looked at record number 4. This is a mechanism by which you can actually step through each record, test the value of the record, and decide whether you wish to continue doing the stepping through the array. Alternately, you can do something conditional that just ignores that particular record but keeps going with every record after it, using the iterate command. That way, when we get to the 4th element, we will find that this condition will be true, then we will iterate the for next loop. All that basically does is it goes down and executes the next command. So when we get to record number 4, which is 67, it will test that, discover that's true. It will then push the record to number 5 without going past to execute this line of code. So if we try that now, we'll see that record number 4 has been ignored. So this has been a short introduction to the for next loop. That's it for today. Thank you for watching.